Hi, I'm Lori.
And I'm Kevin, and this is No Longer Ashamed.
We are survivors of childhood sexual abuse.
And we're here to share with you that if you're a survivor, you don't have to be alone.
Our logo is a salamander, and the reason is a fire salamander can survive a fire, and you have survived a fire.
We want to help you with your journey to healing and hope.
We are all survivors together, and we walk this journey together, and you are not alone.
By telling our stories, we are hoping that you will have the courage to share your stories as well and find your voice.
Because stories are so important, and for so long I know that I wouldn't tell my story, but when I finally shared my story, that's when I got my freedom.
And this is our journey and your journey to healing and hope. So come with us. On wonder is what I was trying to look for because I was thinking about how do we regain our innocence? Because someone took that from us, but it's possible to find it again. And I know it because I've found that sense of innocence in myself again. And I was thinking about where it came from, and it's all from awe and wonder. When you find something that inspires just that feeling, and it doesn't have to be huge either.
So what did you find?
Well, even just today, I was walking the dogs, and before I went to walk them, it started just drizzling a little bit. And, it wasn't that, it's that light Seattle misty rain, but everything smelled so good. I was thinking about, they have a name for that smell, but the fact that rain smells and also that sense it brings in you, and so when I think about awe and wonder, it's something that sometimes surprises us, but I think it's also something we have to kind of look for in our lives.
It seems to me that when you slowed down and paid attention and you stayed in the moment.
Yeah, it's when you're in the moment and you notice something in the moment that you weren't really aware of until you stopped and looked or stopped and smelled, in my case.
So basically you went outside.
Yeah, I was walking the dogs and I waited a little bit to walk them because it started raining. And I was like, okay, I'll wait and see how bad this is. And then it stopped. It kind of lightened up. And so I took them out, and it just, that smell of fresh rain. Always, I like the smell of rain. I must be why I live in this area, because I don't mind rain very much.
So did it hit you, or were you walking and you were like,
no, I was just,
oh, wow,
being aware of it and enjoying it, and then thinking about it and thinking why it brings joy to me, and thinking of just the wonder of it, that something like rain can have a smell, and that smell can make you feel a certain way.
There's something that counselors call that, it's a joy moment.
Yeah.
That when you feel it, you actually stop and you just soak it up for as long as you can. So my sister and I practice this when we go to the pool. There's certain time of the year where the sun is just coming up, and the sunset is amazing. And we're trying to get to the pool, but we stop. And we just look at it and take it in and soak it up. And it is amazing when you take those. I had a coach that called it dancing in the moment. When we stay very present in the moment, it can actually change the course of your day.
Oh, yeah. And that's where I feel we regain our innocence in our lives, is by not only having those moments, but holding on to them, remembering that there is still wonder in this world. There is still things that are amazing and give you that sense of joy and being attached to the world. And that's kind of what we lose when we lose our innocence, is that sense of joy and that sense of being amazed, because we're jaded. So I think I was just wondering, it seems like it is possible to get our innocence back. And that's how I feel like I've felt that in my life, is by just finding those moments and holding on to them and realizing that sometimes you have to kind of look for them.
When you say you have to look for them, so for you, it kind of hit you. You were out in the midst of it, and it was in a way, a revelation.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, did you look for it Like,
No,
what's the
that was
connection there?
actually part of what I mean about you have to look at is when I was leaving to walk the dogs, I was kind of like, it's rainy. I don't feel like doing this. I got to put a jacket on. But when I first felt that smell and felt that feeling inside of me, I realized, oh, this is one of those things. This is one of those things we got to remember that inspires you. So you kind of have to be on the lookout for them because they do come by surprise often, but when you get surprised by them, you want to, like you said, soak it in. Realize this is important. Realize this is something that helps me regain my center.
Yeah, because, something that you said about in my brain, what's connecting is that survival mode. And that when I am in survival mode, I'm not going to look for things. I can't think to look for things. I'm so busy protecting myself. And so this is the conflict I'm having is when you say you have to look for it. But then what I really liked was that it hit you. You walked out. You didn't go out looking. You went out to walk the dogs and you went out and it hit you and you recognized it, but then you wanted more of it. And so what I think it's easy to say, we have to go look for it. But honestly, what happened in my heart when you were telling me that story is I wanted to get hit by something like that. I wanted just to be surprised by joy. I wanted, and not that I'm not, because I feel like because I'm becoming more aware and less in survival. I mean, I have an amazing view out my window. I take those moments to enjoy, but I know that there was a long time where I was in such survival that even if you would have told me, well, go look for those moments, it's almost like gratitude, right? It's like when I first started thinking of gratitude, it was a book I read and I was like, I couldn't find anything to be grateful for, which is ridiculous now to me, but I had so many struggles in my life. And I was like, okay, I have a roof over my head. So once I recognized that that was something, but when I started doing gratitude, I didn't feel it. I would say thank you. And I made it a practice that I did every day. I was absolutely committed to doing it and writing it every day. And I believe it made a huge difference in my life, but it wasn't something I felt for a long time. Like so that came after.
You had to work on it to get to that point of actually feeling it.
Yeah, I actually sat down every day and wrote, 3 to 5 things I was grateful for. And I tried not to write the same thing every day, but I didn't feel it. And the reason this is interesting to me is I want that. I want to be surprised by those things. And I know that means kind of being open and paying attention. But I'm taking this course. And one of the things they asked is, what do you want to feel when you pray? And I had to think about that for a long time. And what I want to feel is love, because I know God loves me and I believe God loves me.
Yeah.
But I don't actually feel that very often.
When you're praying?
I just don't feel that. Like, you know how we talk about emotions are information? If emotions are information, you feel emotions. And so I feel a lot of emotions, but I don't necessarily feel God's love. So when you said, let's talk about awe and wonder, I wondered what that felt like. Does that feel like love? What does that feel like? Can you explain that? I don't know if you can.
It is different than being in love or feeling someone's love, I think.
But that's even different than God's love, really.
Yeah.
Like when I'm with you guys, I feel so much love.
Yeah.
But when I'm praying, I want to feel God's love. Maybe that happens if I go stand on the beach or, you know what I mean? So it's curious that nature is what spurred this for you.
Yeah, I think, no, I was thinking about it before because I was thinking about innocence and how I felt like it was possible that I felt like I had regained that sense of innocence in my life. And then I tried to examine where that came from because I knew there was a time I felt like I had no innocence, that, it had been taken from me. And I looked at where I felt like that I started to regain that. And it wasn't just like the moment being out in the rain. It was, I was thinking about all the things that helped me feel that awe or wonder. Sometimes it's music, hearing some song I've never heard before that just blows me away. Sometimes it's other things, but it's that sense of just being taken by surprise just by how much you're feeling, I guess. Like you said, being in the moment.
Well, and also you can hear a great song and you can not stop and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I'm so guilty of that. I can see something beautiful and I'm busy.
Uh-huh.
I don't stop and enjoy it. And so I think that's what I think I'm feeling from you is just that it's actually slowing down. It's actually stopping in a way.
Yeah, and just embracing the emotion that you're feeling at that time from whatever that's giving you the awe or wonder. And that's not always easy, like you were saying. We're always so distracted. And even for me, when I was thinking about this, it doesn't happen that often. And that's why it's important when it does to try and stay there in it.
Well, and I think that's where you say you go looking for it is it happens, you like it. And like, what if we made it happen every day?
Yeah. Well, and what if we can just embrace it every day? And that way we kind of have that feeling inside us. Even if it's not happening at the moment, just still embracing the moment, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Paying attention is.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, not everyone's in the space where they're at is giving them any sense of awe or wonder.
Or it is, but they or me, I can say this. I lived on an island when I raised my kids, and I don't know that I fully enjoyed and relished in the beauty of it because I was so busy doing life. And for me, a huge amount of the time I had the repressed memory, so I didn't even know what I was running from. Yeah. I was just running.
Yeah. And so I guess for me, where did it come from? Beginning of just finding that awe.
Mm-hmm. Because I see it in your face. I see that something has shifted. And that's why I'm asking questions because I'm curious. And I feel like if we can understand how you got to that.
Yeah, for me, finding it is a matter of I find it in little details that don't really matter much, but they make a difference in that they do alter how you feel. And so it can be really trivial, and that's what I mean to look for it is sometimes we take for granted the things that are happening in our lives that are making us feel a certain way, and we're not even paying attention to it.
So my sister has been gone a few weekends. I've been house sitting and I've been watering her garden because their sprinklers were broke. And it's a big job. It was a lot of hours, but I was at so much peace while I was watering those plants.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to sound so bizarre, but I was like, grow. I was like, I am doing this nurturing thing.
Yeah.
But I was really in the moment. And I don't know that for me, I didn't feel like wonder, but I did feel this sense of peace, connecting with nature and slowing down.
Yeah.
And like, I wasn't just watering, I was watering and, connecting with the plants, which they're not even mine,
And that's a great example because that's another way I do it is when I'm gardening. I love being out and even if I'm just watering, I love watering and you're just spending time. And that's a good way of putting it. You do have to invest a little time in it sometimes and slow down. I think in order to notice it, slowing down is important. Because our frantic pace, we don't stop when we're getting that thing that's making us feel settled.
Here's what I think, because I see you doing the work. I see you doing this podcast. I see you connecting with things. And when you get triggered, you're working through it. So I've seen this incredible growth. And it seems like the layers, this is what it feels like to me when I hear you, is like the layers are kind of peeling back and there's actually room for the wonder and the awe. Where maybe before it was there because I know with your bike riding and that, I know you enjoy nature. Mm-hmm. But when we talk about, me, us as people who are survivors, it seems like as we get more at peace and I would even say more connected to self-love and identity,
Yeah.
it creates room for us to stop and embrace those things because we're not trying to please anyone. We're not trying to run from anyone. All those things that we've been behaving badly basically for years.
Or we've been controlled by all the lies and everything. And so, yeah, when you peel back the layers, but I have been aware of it, the awe and wonder. And this is something I've been aware of for quite a while, but I've never known how to put a word to it or, to define it. But I remember when I was first recovering, was in the midst of my divorce. I was at my lowest of lows, it felt like. And I had several instances where I was just brought to my knees, but also I knew there was a reason I was still alive. I was meant to be here because there was such amazing beauty in this world. And I was just brought to my knees by either it was music or just witnessing something that was just amazing, all these things that I hung on to at that time. And I hung on to those feelings knowing that was giving me hope for more of finding that.
I love that. It's like we were made for more, and often we don't know that because we think we got ruined. We think we got broken. We think maybe we missed our purpose. I know all these interviews I'm doing, so many people, a lot of them suffered because of childhood abuse. And then when they reinvent their life later, they've had to come to terms with forgiveness and choosing not to be a victim. And then that's when their lives start to drastically change. And what so many of these people have said is they've got in touch with their identity of who they really are and who they were really created to be. Do you feel like that's playing into that with you?
Oh, yeah.
Over
Oh,
time?
definitely. Yeah. And also just recognizing what matters to me.
Because you truly are a creative and you love nature and you love art.
Yeah, always.
And
Always
octopuses.
have. And octopus. So I guess when I reflect on when I was going through the worst of the worst, there were moments, and those were the moments that gave me the hope. And even in some of the really hardest times, I think it was just hanging on to the fact that there are things that do bring beauty to this world and do bring joy to me, and trying to find those things that I can hang on to. And that's what I did. And most of it was music. A lot of it was music. But it was also doing things and just being outdoors in nature of some sort.
Well, and when we create those pathways, then when we do, like you were talking about a remodel and how 1 week is hell week and the next week is like, angels are singing. It's like when we create those pathways, we know we're having a bad day. We can have a bad day, or we can revisit those joy moments. We can revisit those wonder and awe moments because we know they're there.
Yeah, because we have witnessed them. And I think it also means that, yes, it is possible to get your innocence back. You can have that sense of innocence in your life. It's just, it isn't gone. It feels like they took it, but it's not all gone. You can still get it.
My analytical mind is trying to track with you because I really want that. I'm thinking, how do you get your innocence back? But something that clicked when you were saying that was, we when we're innocent and we see something beautiful, we're in awe. But when we don't have innocence, we can't let our guard down.
Yeah.
And so the connection I feel like I'm seeing is that more and more you're letting your guard down, and that it's okay and it's safe. It's safe to be innocent. So maybe you didn't lose your innocence, but you could never let it show because it was dangerous. But now you're recognizing it's not dangerous.
Yeah, that's oh, I love that, because I think that is what happens is you're guarding it because it's not lost. It's just scared. It's hurt. And so you're guarding it. And when you guard it, you just push it down and don't let anyone near it. But it takes risks to let it come back because you're afraid you're going to get hurt again, of course. And I guess for me, a lot of it was knowing I was taking care of myself. So I wasn't going to let myself get hurt again like that.
Wow.
So innocence isn't lost, just needs to be taken care of.
Wow.
And that's where awe and wonder comes in. And really, I don't know how that connects, but I like the way you connected it. It's bringing back sense of safety and joy
And self-love, because
and self-love. Yeah.
the way you said it just a minute ago was like you didn't have to protect yourself because you knew you were safe because of who you've become. Which sounds like a lot of words, but also it's that layers and it's that evolution. And it gives me hope and joy to think that we can uncover that and it can be okay. In fact, it can be wonderful.
It is. And that's the reason we want everyone to know about this. It's possible.
Yeah. But it comes from hard work. And the word that came to me when you were saying that, just the word that felt like it just was huge, was brave. You were brave to be able to let your guard down enough to enjoy what was. And that tells me about growth, because you didn't have to be looking over your shoulder. You could just enjoy that rain and the smell of it without being worried or scared. And that's brave.
Yeah. And not worrying about what anyone thinks about me. Like when I caught myself. I do
when
this
you're
all
doing
the
Julie Andrews twirling in the driveway.
No, and not the dancing in my car, although that's another one. No, I was petting bees again, petting bumblebees again.
You and my daughter-in-law.
And I was walking the dogs, and there was this one bush up the street that just suddenly bloomed, beautiful, and it's fragrant. And there were so many bumblebees, and I had to stop. I stopped the dogs, and like, I gotta check this out. And I'm petting these bees, and then I realized I'm in front of about 7 houses that are all in plain view of me petting bees on this bush, and I don't know if there's anyone in them or if they're looking at me. But if they were looking at me, they're probably wondering, what is he doing? Is he petting bees? Or is he petting the plant? What is he doing?
That's that crazy neighbor that pets the bees.
I know. And I just...
She's
I
like calling her husband, hey, Jack, come look at this guy.
I know. It was just, oh no, I'm doing it again. No. Oh no.
That's awesome. I mean, seriously, who pets bees?
Me. I do.
My daughter-in-law too.
Oh, she does? I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. I've been doing that since I was a kid. And it always gives me that feeling of that kind of Zen feeling. You're just kind of like zoned out and petting the bees, and they're just doing their thing and you're just doing your thing. And 5 minutes later you find your neighbors staring at you and you're like, oh, I'm okay. Okay. Oh well. I guess I don't mind being weird once in a while.
Yeah, people are going to think what they want no matter what you do.
Yeah, I think that's part of being fearless, is not caring anymore or
and
so much.
Being in the moment, because it's like you were lost in the moment, so you had no concern until all of a sudden you went, wait a minute, people might be watching me. Then that changed,
Yep, that's where it did. Yeah. Otherwise, it'd probably still be up there petting.
They'll follow you home. You turn and walk, and you've got this hive of bees following you.
Just like,
maybe you need a hive.
I've thought about, but I don't need another time-consuming hobby that I don't have spare time for. I'll just visit the ones in the neighborhood. We get enough here.
Well, I think that's really awesome to think about that. And just listening to you, what comes up for me hearing your story is I want more of that. And
petting bees?
Yes, definitely petting bees. That awe and wonder. And really, there was a connection for me this week with some of my struggles. And a lot of it is because of being in survival mode. For me, I've lived in it for so long that when I'm not in it, I don't know what to do. And so those moments when you have the awe and wonder are moments that I'm not in survival. And I almost don't know what to do, because there's guilt. I should be doing something. There's fear. Something might happen. Like all those things to sort through for just a few moments of peace.
Yeah. How do we build a foundation of peace in our lives?
So there's that thing called making how we go back to what's familiar. We've talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to make the unfamiliar, the peace, the awe, we want to make that the familiar. So then that's what we go back to. That's what we go to rather than the dysfunction and the victim, right? And so when you're in those moments, you're actually changing your pathways in your brain and you're making them beautiful and familiar so that your brain wants to go there.
Okay, so find those things and start rewiring.
Do them a lot. Just tell those bees, gotta pet you. I'm rewiring my brain.
They'll understand.
Isn't that amazing that we can rewire our brain?
Yeah.
And there's a book, actually, it's called We Were Wired for Joy. We were created for joy, but we've lost sight and we've broken those connections in our brain. And so sometimes we have to find, it sounds like those are the ways for you to make those, to reconnect those, which then engages our brain in the way it wants to be, the way it was created to be.
Yeah. Who wrote that book?
I think her name is Lauren Mellon. It's called Wired for Joy.
Yeah. I like that. I might have to look that up.
She's like a PhD doctor.
Mm.
She's local too. She's like from Seattle.
Nice. So she gets the rain too.
Yeah. And she's wired for joy.
Yeah.
But when we think about that, when we can shift the survival, for me, when I can shift that survival and think my brain was actually wired for joy, then if I think that, I can start to think, wow, if it's wired for joy, if our bodies are built for good food, we want to feed it good food. So if our brains are wired for joy, maybe I want to go find those joy moments more. Maybe I actually want to like put rubber bands on my wrist and like switch them over like 3 times a day. I got to find that joy. Like if that's an essence of science and of how we can heal ourselves.
Yeah. Find the joy and then find out ways to keep that around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because for me as a runner, keeping busy, don't dare be quiet. Like I do 15 minutes of silence every day, and it is still so hard. I want to get up. Sometimes I go, God, I am so sorry. I know I'm supposed to sit here for 15 minutes and just be quiet and listen, but it is hard. But I do it every day because I know those daily habits. I know those daily things. And so I'm thinking, after listening to you, I'm thinking maybe I want to incorporate a certain amount of joy moments every day, like I did with gratitude. Every day I found 3 things. Maybe I'm going to take breakfast, lunch, and dinner and find a joy point. I mean, it can be 15 seconds or less, right?
Oh, yeah. I found them without looking a lot of the times, but I think it's good to hang on to them and try to find them when you're actively. I think that's like your gratitude list. Keeping a list of gratitude isn't there just to do something, this rote thing every day. No, it's to make you aware of what's giving you gratitude, where you're finding gratitude in. And as you become more aware of it, then you embrace it more. You find it more because you're paying attention to it more. Like you said, when you're paying attention to something, all of a sudden you see it more and more. It's just, because it becomes a bigger part of your awareness.
Right. It's that law of attraction. We find what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And if we're looking for gratitude, all of a sudden,
it's easier to find it.
Yeah. I used to work in the Columbia Tower, and there would be magnificent sunsets. And we had this one coworker who was so giddy, and she'd run out and she'd be like, come on, you guys, come on. And people just they wouldn't get up and go look at the sunset. Oh. They're busy. They were working. And I remember so many times I thought about that on my bus ride home. I wonder why this person or that person, if it was they didn't want to see the sunset, they didn't like the person who was like really excited about it, or if it was nothing. But I just thought it was interesting that she wanted everyone to go and enjoy that sunset.
Yeah. And they just didn't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Or it didn't matter. It wasn't even like they wanted beauty in their life. Like it takes 10 seconds to go look at the sunset. Oh, nice. Like, and then you have this beautiful vision in your eyes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think it is interesting that you brought this up today, because I think for me, I do take a lot of it for granted, and I think it's easy to do. And once we see it and start to get a glimpse of it, it's like more, and that more is good.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to work on skyscrapers, and a lot of them, they didn't have walls or windows or anything.
Oh,
So they were
I've
just
seen the
wide open.
pictures.
And one winter, I remember being in Bellevue, and it had spectacular views of the Cascades
Oh,
looking right there.
right.
And
Eye
so
level.
we get to work early in the morning, and in the winter, the sun doesn't rise until 7:30. And so we'd be there as it was sunrise. And oh man, there were some amazing sunrises that were just awe-inspiring, literally, like just jaw-dropping. And yeah, at the same time, it was freezing cold because we were up on the top of this building, no windows, no walls, so you're just exposed. And yet at the same time, I remember those sunrises because they were so incredible. They were amazing, and they'd just go on and on for like a half hour. So that's what you hang on to, those moments.
Well, I think my takeaway is number one, that innocence isn't lost, but maybe it was just hidden, and it takes some trust to get it back. And also that for me, I want to, like right now, the sun is just shining in my window, which I have a beautiful view of Puget Sound. And I do enjoy it when I look at it, but sometimes there's an element that makes it different. So like when I look at my window, there's this big dome, and on top of it is this box like thing. And on top of that is a osprey nest.
Oh, cool.
And so I've been watching them and their babies. But what I noticed, one certain time of day in the morning, the way the sun shines on that box that the osprey nest is in, and it's only this certain time of day, it looks like a smile. And the other day I saw it and I thought, why have I never noticed that? And what I recognize is because it's only a certain way when the sun's shining a certain way, it glints off the metal.
Mm.
So it looks like it's a smiley face with two dots and a smile. But also that I have an osprey out my window.
Yeah.
And I do
That's,
take those moments to enjoy it. But also because it's been there a couple years, it's easy to start to take that for granted.
I can tell you, most people don't get to sit and watch osprey out their window. I've seen a lot of osprey living on the beach, but now that I'm not living on the beach, I don't get to see them very often. And when I do, I'm like, even when I'm riding my bike on the beach, sometimes if I see an osprey, when they're hovering and getting ready to fish, I will stop and watch them because I want to see if they dive. Because when they dive, it's so cool.
It's amazing.
So there you go. Appreciate the things that are filled with wonder.
Mm-hmm. And maybe part of that self-love is that we actually allow ourselves to enjoy it. Because I think for me, there was a time when I didn't feel I deserved to enjoy something.
Yeah.
And so today I was filling out an application for possible grant or money. And it said, why do you deserve this? And I found myself going, well, I don't deserve it. Lots of people deserve it. And then I had to look at that thinking, like, where is that coming from?
Yeah.
That I can't just say, you know what? I deserve this big chunk of money because I'm doing this amazing work. Dang it.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that as long as I've been working on this, and I know the layers are peeling off, and I know that I'm like enjoying my life so much more, and I have so much more peace, but also it is interesting how things catch you off guard. So this week it was, what do you want to feel when you pray? That caught me off guard. And then, why do you deserve this? Tell me why you deserve this. I'm like, deserve is a strong word. I don't know that I deserve this. I'm like, yes, I do deserve this. So, taking ownership, and the word you kept saying today that now is connecting with me is that embracing.
Yeah. That's how you recognize that it matters to you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish I had an osprey outside my window. I
You'll have to
love
come
watching them.
visit. My sister gave me her bird binoculars, so
Oh, nice.
yeah. So I keep an eye on those babies. They're all fat
They're
and puffy right now. Yeah,
they have babies. Oh, how
yeah,
fun!
yeah,
Oh, that's so cool. That
yeah.
is so cool.
They line up. Usually there's only 2 or 3, but they line up on the rail as they get older. And first they're really like big and puffy. And
Oh, that would be so fun.
so, well, this is a good time. What's your takeaway? Anything new or different than when you started?
Yes, feeling that innocence wasn't lost, it was just being taken care of by hiding it, basically. That's kind of a revelation for me because I was looking for how do you regain your innocence when this happens to you, but it's still there. You're hiding it because you have to in a way, but you don't have to keep hiding it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my take.
Awesome.
So that's it for today.
We are going to have a prayer time if you want to stick with us. If not, we believe in you.
We want to hear from you. We want to hear your stories.
If you like this podcast, please rate and review because that's how other people can find us. And we really want to spread this message.
Father, I thank you for all your blessings, especially for the awe and the wonder that what you have created inspires in us. And it all comes from you, Father. And I just pray that we would continue to worship and praise you for the wonder. And that's why it's so good, is because it's coming from you. The things in our lives that move us, that stir us, that change us, they're coming from you. And I just pray that you would visit everyone who's listening and just visit them with the awe that you want them to feel in their lives, that wonder that you want them to feel, and also to bring them that sense of innocence again in their lives, that you see them as innocent, that you recognize their innocence and help them to regain that for themselves, Lord. And I just pray that you would inspire them to take that time to be in awe, to wonder at what those moments in their lives that are changing them. And Lord, I just thank you for giving us the chance to pray to you and experience your love. And Lord, I know that sometimes we don't feel it, but you want us to feel your love. I just pray you would bring that to those who are listening. In your name I pray.
Father, I pray for someone who's feeling really alone right now, and that you would help open their eyes to the things that you have set before us. And you've created all this beauty for us, and we take it for granted. I know I do. And I just thank you for this opportunity to talk about your creation and to talk about petting bees and seeing the mountains and enjoying the rain, and that is a way for us to heal, that you've created this beauty, knowing that there are going to be people on this planet that are hurting, and that we can find some relief and some joy in nature and in the things you've created, including art and music, things that other people create. And I just thank you for the idea of joy moments, that, we were created for joy, and that we can look around and actually be intentional about finding something once a day that brings us joy, knowing that it comes from you, and that's really ultimately what you always wanted for us, was for us to have a life of joy. And I just thank you for that there is healing, that we don't have to live in the place of a victim, but we can live as survivors, and we can have a fulfilled, loving life. And I just thank you that that is a possibility, that there is hope, and there is awe, and there is wonder. And it's all right there for us if we want it, if we want to take it. In your Son's holy name, amen.
Amen.